Hello YouTube. I wanted to make another video for another RPA and how RPA can be combined with something called Octoparse. Octoparse is a web scraping tool and the description is right here. So it's a very user-friendly way of scraping the internet. Just make sure that you do not scrape copyrighted material. Um, Here's what the dashboard looks like. You can have, I think, 10 free tasks for the free version. And what I want to do, I'll show the template that I used. The template that I used was job details by search in LinkedIn. And literally, all you got to do is choose the country and choose what you wanted to look for, and you can leave this blank. And whenever you run it, it gets you this output. So I ran this and it got 229 lines, different jobs. And it shows the link and it shows the description and everything like that. So for the free version, when you try to export, it doesn't let you export. You gotta upgrade to export. Well, I wanted to make an RPA that will capture this data for me. When you right click in the top right here at the header level, there's two options. There's one option that says copy and the other option says copy with title. So what okay, so like that's how I can get the data. That's good. Okay. Um, where it gets complicated is that I have to navigate this application. It only shows 50 at a time. So I got to go to the next tab to capture the remaining data. So how do I deal with that? And I'll showcase that. So here's the RPA, and I'll scroll to the top. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm finding Octoparse, and that's with AutoHotkey. I'm gonna refresh the data, make sure that I'm getting the most accurate data. You can have Octoparse run and the RPA run at the same time if you wanted to. Um, so that's the refresh button, and this is how I'm finding the coordinates to right click to get to that menu. On my monitor, the well, see, like it says X coordinates and Y coordinates. Okay, so if you come down to the variable, okay, so on my monitor, I'm doing 100 for the X and 120 for the Y. But for your monitor, you're probably gonna have to adjust this. This is a I can't tell how big the monitor is, so I'm just picking pixels on the screen. I'm putting delays after before and after this. I'm doing a left click. So if I can show you I'm right clicking to get to this, and then I'm gonna left click one of these options. Okay, so that's what right click and left click. Then I'm gonna go to Excel, and this is where I'm gonna paste my data. Okay, I'm doing some uh, fancy smancy way of if there's anything in the Excel, get rid of all that stuff, and then make sure it's a make sure you're highlighting A1. Make sure you're pasting it where I want you to paste it, kind of thing. So how do I know if I'm supposed to go to the next tab or not? Whenever I paste it into Excel, there's gonna be a cell reference. So it's kind of hard to explain without the data being in there. But whenever I paste the first 50, cell 51 gets populated. You got to say 51 because the first row has the header. And this is going to make more sense when the data is actually in there. So I look at the cell reference of A51 and I copy that to my clipboard, and then I make a variable called cell reference for whatever data is in my clipboard. Cell reference. This is where I take the cell reference and I'm going to see if it's divisible by 51. So I'm seeing if, well, this says A51, but I'm gonna get rid of that A. But I'm gonna take 51 divided by 51, and if it is divisible by 51, then there's a variable called keep going on. The keep going on tells me how many times I gotta click through the multiple tabs. So by default, keep going on is false. But if it's true, because this right here, this calculation, if it becomes true, that changes the value right here to be true. So now that it's true, we're going to do the next thing. So the next thing is go back to Octoparse, and then I got to find the coordinates to push that little tiny thing right here. So what I found out is whenever I click right here, nothing happens. But whenever I hit tab, if you I don't know if you could see, but the number 2 becomes highlighted in blue. So I guess it's like I highlighted it. And now that I highlighted it, I can hit enter. And when I hit enter, it will go to that page. That was sort of like lucky that I figured that out. So X button 1 is for the buttons at the bottom, okay? And the X coordinate is going left and right. So I'm adding 30 pixels to the current X button 1 value, which is 250, so it would be 280. And that's how I can get to the next little button down there. So for the people that have bigger screens or smaller screens, this is another thing that you would have to contend with, because I don't know the pixels that you see. Here is where I am going to click that button if it's 2, 3, 4, or 5, and then I'm starting that process all over again. I got to right click, but here's a key difference for this left click. This left click is different than the previous left click. Right up in here. This is I'm just going to say first, and then I'm going to say loop. Okay, loop. All right. So the difference is this mouse move is I am not going to click on the header option all the time. I don't need the header. I don't need the title anymore. I don't need to go. I don't need to scroll down to this title. So I just need to click on copy. And when I click on copy, that copies everything without the title in there. So it just makes the spreadsheet better. So that's how I'm doing that. Okay, I'm going back to Excel, and then this is basically how this works. Is it finds the window that has the variable Excel activate right here. And Excel activate is, I'm calling that Octoparse extracted data, which is the name of the spreadsheet. So for you, you can change the name of the spreadsheet right here, and you're good because it's a variable, so it doesn't matter. So just change it right here, whatever cell you want, whatever Excel you want to activate. And then here is I'm doing some Excel trickery to get to the last cell that does not have data, and then I'm finding the cell reference for whatever that is, and then I'm doing that loop so I can figure out how many times do I need to loop through. All right. So this is my spreadsheet that's blank, and then here is my Octoparse. It's on the first page, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hit play, and let's see what happens. So it's deleting everything which was already blank, and it just pasted the first 50. So now it needs to go to the second page, and I copied that. So now I pasted the second 50. We need to find the third 50. Now we need to find the fourth 50. And now we need to find the last 50. And so since this last 50 is not divisible by 50, then it's done. And here you can see the values of my variables. I'm gonna go ahead and hit stop, and then let's just review the data. So I have 230 rows, and I don't have the title repeated. So keyword location, job title, and then I don't see that. You know what I mean? So I got all of the data out of Octoparse, and I'm not paying for Octoparse, and I've got OpenRPA to work with Octoparse. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day.